Hey man, kids looking for Hatchimals?
How about I trade for an NES Classic?
You ever get frustrated looking for those hot toys during the holiday season? Because we sure as hell do. You ever been the kid in class that didn't get one of those crappy Teddy Ruxpins? Because we went through all that. We're going to be talking about the hot toys during just the Christmas time and why they're so hard to find.
And you watch this episode, you have a chance to win this Nintendo Classic.
Watch the episode.
Have you ever been that kid that around the holiday season came back to school and did not get the Teddy Ruxpin? The Elmo? You were the kid, weren't you?
Sometimes I was that kid. Have you ever been the kid that waited in the snow, in the rain, for an amiibo, and then Neckbeard Nicholas bought them all? Merry Christmas, by the way.
Happy holidays.
I think we've all been these kids before. So, today's episode, we're going to be discussing the hot toys of the season that every year since 1983, those little fuckers over there started a trend in America, and I'm sure all over the world. In 1983, Cabbage Patch Dolls came out right around the holiday season. And this is the first time you saw people fighting over them. People were going to and buying these things out of people's trunks in cars.
Oh yeah,
like
they were.
You were no longer buying guns or fucking drugs off of somebody's trunk. You were buying. A Cabbage Patch doll for your kids.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you had to take some crack to be buying this stuff.
And that really did set off, like Omar says, kind of a trend of every year.
Every year,
it wasn't Cabbage Patch, but there was this mindset of what is the hot toy,
and
this
these
year.
Toys would sell out, forcing, parents to go crazy. And this is before online shopping, so you can imagine what this was like. Somebody going door to door to your office going, hey, I got that new Optimus Prime out of my truck. You want to go check it out? So, yes, in 1984 were the Transformers, and so on. The Koosh Ball, the Tickle Me Elmo, the Furbys. And I remember when these Megazords came out, that was in 92, I believe. These were impossible to find. You couldn't find these during Christmas time. Kids, I remember the news, like, kids were crying, like, Mom, can you buy me this? And mothers were crying, I don't know what to do
They were
about my
making
kids.
Arnold Schwarzenegger movies about it.
Are you talking about Last Action Hero?
No,
course,
I think it was Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way,
yeah.
I was going to say
that's the one that get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper!
To the chopper.
Yes.
So Dan, why is it that, like, do you think it's a move from the companies themselves that are like, we're not going to produce that many because we don't know how well they'll do, or we're not going to produce that many because we know that it will, supply and demand? Like, where does that come?
I think it's a little bit of both, because the neat thing about the Christmas holiday toy, the hot toy, is that half the time it's from a no-name manufacturer or a smaller manufacturer who has come up with something really cool. Now, I mean, like Furby, for instance. Furby was Tiger Toys, which is, of course, a division of Hasbro.
Mm-hmm.
But
I had a lot of Tiger Toy electronic games.
Yeah, but
Same thing.
I don't recall whether they were a division of Hasbro in 2001.
That was 1998 when those
98
came out.
Okay.
Probably were. But or like the Hatchimal things, those are Spin Master toys, but they're a big toy company, but again, not Hasbro. Tickle Me Elmo. I mean, these things kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah, they do. Like left field. Like I'd never heard of Hatchimals until this recently holiday season.
Right, because
Really neat concept. You hold the egg, it hatches, you don't know what animal you get, and then you kind of throw the animal away.
But there's
Right.
right.
That's what every kid...
And what's the retail price on this? $60?
$49.99.
$49.99. There's also another one that I believe, obviously not as popular as Hatchimals is this year, but Cosmo. Have you heard of that? The little robot?
Oh yeah. This year's intelligent robot.
Yes, this year's intelligent robot.
Ever since Ape Sapien, right? Ape Sapien is the one that kicked off the intelligent robots.
I'm pretty sure that's a Hellboy character.
Bam!
Robo Sapien.
Having your own personal robot is not science fiction. The technology experts agree. Robo Sapien is here now.
I think it's twofold. I think one is just unanticipated demand. Like you said, I think so much of the toy industry even though Hasbro has 70% market share, I think so much of the toy industry is just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks, right? Because especially stuff like this that isn't tied to any fiction or TV show or anything, the Furby is another great example of that, where it's just like, this is the neatest thing that has ever existed in the history of the world, and it's affordable to buy my child. Give me thousands of them.
Yeah.
Furby was catching the ride of the Tamagotchi, around that area in the Pokemon.
But Furby also was riding on
It wasn't a comic book of Furby.
And it's a bigger thing than a kid. We're talking about kids that are our age, or kids that were the age of our kids when we're talking about these things.
Yeah.
And so my 4-year-old, your kid are going to pick up a Furby and be like, oh my gosh, this is something I can play with, take with me where I go, and I can interact with it.
Well, but even that, the Zuzu pets from 6-7 years ago is a great example. These are little pieces of shit, right? No, they are, and they just all it is a little motorized thing.
You need to go see a doctor if your shit looks
it has
like
a button on its. It has a button on its back and a button on its nose, and when it bumps into things, it turns around and it makes cute little noises. And these were impossible to find. So I think it's a mixture of something that is really cool, but I do think the hot toy element requires it to be limited. And I think the reasons for it being limited are twofold. One, either people just don't anticipate demand. And Zuzu was a great example of that, because that was an actual startup toy company, kind of out of nowhere. But I think they don't anticipate demand, and then
people crave rarity.
And that's exactly it. It's the fact that it's rare that makes it hot.
Now,
because if you get it after Christmas, who gives a shit?
And this is where
the poor kids that are waiting for the secondhand stores to
once
get
the
them.
poor kids have it, no one wants it.
No one wants it. It's not cool anymore.
You assholes.
If it's made out of corn husks, I don't care about it.
That's why I didn't get GoBots until 87.
GoBots and Lionbot.
Anyway.
But you talking about rarity, I'm giving you the video game angle. Let me talk about false rarity. But before I do that, let me also say, this is one of these items that was almost impossible to find this holiday season, the NES Classic Edition. Not the NES Mini. Do you see the Mini on this box? No. Nope. The NES Classic Edition, which we are giving away. We are giving this away to our loyal subscribers as a holiday Christmas.
Each and every one of them?
No. A battle royale for this.
Because I'm about to create some fucking accounts. Continue.
Okay.
How much money do you make?
Not enough. So, we're giving away an NES Classic Edition. All you have to do is be a subscriber, and in this video, I want you to comment and tell us your most cherished, not Nintendo based, but your most cherished holiday, Christmas, present-ish story. Something from your childhood. Something like the N64 kid. Or that cool present you're like, Mom, this is the best thing ever. Please, leave your comments, make sure you're a subscriber, and we will at random draw a winner on January 4th, which is a Wednesday.
See the description for the official rules and how to win.
Thank you, Lawyer Dan. So, Dan, you were talking about scarcity and rarity, and you're making me so angry.
I know!
Because okay, again, I worked at Babbage's, America's Computer Software Headquarters, for years and years and years, and dealt with this stuff when I was a kid before I worked there, with video games and trying to get stuff. I have...
Oh, yeah, the Nintendo, the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, the Wii, the Wii U, the DS, all those things were the holiday toy each year.
And it surprises me things like the Wii U, which only sold 12 million units total. That was a really hard to find thing back in the day. The Wii you couldn't get a year after it came back. The DS was super hard. The original Game Boy, I had to fight.
Yeah, the original Game Boy was impossible to find.
But especially with electronics, I'm curious as to, are these things rare? Especially in Nintendo's case, because it's just every fucking time, right? Is it rare,
or is it like an Apple product?
Because they are rushing to get it out for the holiday season, and they just can't get enough made?
I'm going to talk about Marth in just a minute and rant.
But is it rare, or is it purposefully rare in that it's not we're rushing it out to market, it's we are going to release it this date, and we're going to release this many to keep demand high and to keep the hype high, to keep people lining up for it.
Are there any left? There may be one.
I would think so. Yes, now, not so much in yesteryear.
Well, I would have to disagree a little bit with you, what you're saying. A little bit what you're saying. So the answer is, I'm going to talk about Nintendo, because I've been following Nintendo since I was a kid. Back when I was 12 or something, 13, 14, there was a game called Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And Nintendo tried to push a bunch of them out. This actually happened with Super Mario 2 as well. But Nintendo tried to push a bunch of them out, and they couldn't meet demand. And they claimed it was, I remember reading this in like the Nintendo Fun Club magazine, due to a chip shortage, we can't get all of these out. Right? Okay. Even in 87, when this game came out, there was no chip shortage. It doesn't take hard to burn a ROM. It's not that hard to do. The NES Classic, I love Nintendo. I think they have great IP. The NES Classic is made with a Chinese all-in-one board that costs $4 to make. There's not, and they announced this thing back in June or July. Look, NES Classic. We all went nuts. We all tried to pre-order it. Nintendo knew that millions of people wanted this. It cost $4 for this chip in bulk, because I bought one or two. And there is no way, I do understand Nintendo as a game company, they're trying to act like a toy company. So they do have to be cognizant of the amount of inventory that they have for these things. So they don't want tons and tons of these things like sitting on shelves, like the Amiibo here. But they don't want tons and tons sitting on shelves, because when you're in a storefront and your items are taking up space and they don't move, that's bad, and then those items have to go on sale and go back out, and that things eventually go back to the company, which costs Nintendo money.
I feel like the Amiibo was a little bit different, though, because the Amiibo was based on characters. It makes sense for them to only make 300 Marths for every, 5,000 Marios. It makes sense for them to make, 500 Wii Fit trainers, for every, 2,000
Yeah, but that's
Peaches.
that's the economics
mold.
of the market. That doesn't really... I mean, and two, that's kind of a side point. However, I'm going to derail us completely, because otherwise every comment is going to say 1983? You mean you're not going to talk about the voucher that I got for Star Wars figures in 1977?
We still do vouchers.
So, for the record, we've acknowledged that. Let's move on. Scalpers.
The bane
Not
of my
your
existence.
mama, but scalpers. Unless your mama is also a scalper.
Hey, some people make
In which case,
make a
good,
living.
you got all the toys.
Some people make a living being a scalper.
Right, they do.
Scouting out the areas, looking at the inventory. And now it's a lot easier because you have an online
Beanie
account.
Babies. I mean, you had people scalping those, selling those on eBay. I think
They
that
didn't even have to
helped
go that
eBay.
route. They could just go outside and be like, hey, you're looking for a Princess Diana bear? Meet me in my car. And scalpers is one of those things that they help because you get to a certain age and you're like, fuck it, my kid really wants a Hatchimal, right? I'm not going to go to every Walmart and wait in line. I'll pay somebody $150.
Well, now it's
like,
even-
I did it. I didn't.
Still can't pay shipping.
I
still
still
get
shipping.
pissed about paying shipping.
Forget your eBay option.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay you $10 more than this costs at retail.
I'm the same way. Rob and I have stood in line for hours waiting on these little fuckers right here. Not those fuckers. These fuckers right here.
Because I could pay $20 and not worry about it, but it's the principle of the thing. I don't want to pay shipping. I don't want to pay a scalper. I don't want to pay eBay. I just want to have it in my hand and not deal with it.
But, there are people that are like, I don't have the time to go do that. I'm working. I would rather pay somebody $150, $200, a markup of like 300% or something like that. And
because of the convenience
the kids
of it.
still get their presents.
Yeah, convenience of it. Absolutely.
Because now, scalpers of the old day, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have all those things. You kind of had to know somebody to know somebody. Now you've got eBay, which makes it incredibly easy to say, hey, I've got this rare thing.
Yeah,
incredible.
But it
has also driven people to become scalpers because they know they can make a
but it
profit.
also makes it super easy to get conned. So
it does.
If you're gonna buy a secondary market version, especially of something techie or something, you got to be super.
You gotta be careful it doesn't come from China. It's called the NES Classic.
If it comes from China, it's probably a scam.
The worst thing I did was working at Walmart in 1998. That's probably where that story should end. But they put me in charge of, we got 8 Furbys during Black Friday. I was working Black Friday, we got 8 Furbys.
8?
And they were like, Omar, hide these around the store. And
hide them around the store.
I was like, awesome. Back then, when they used to hang bikes up on top of in the ceiling, I put one up there. I took the scissor lift, put one up there. The best thing I did was put one in the freezer. Day of Black Friday, I see a huge commotion around the furniture aisle, and there's these 2 women fighting.
Literally fighting.
One woman had taken the other woman's finger and pulled it back and broke her finger over a Furby. And of course, I'm smiling and I'm like, I did that. That's my addition.
And I think that's where we need to end this.
Oh my god.
Remember, watch the whole video to learn how to enter the contest for the NES Classic. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. A winner could be you. Thank you for watching Near Mint Condition. Please like, subscribe, share, comment below Mike Tyson wink on how to win this NES Classic Edition. We'll be announcing the winner via Twitter Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. So good luck. And again, thank you very much.
You people and your first world problems.
That was before I was born.
We couldn't get clean water. And
You got a box with a. With
I had to wait on Sally Struthers to like her. Anyway, I'm sorry. What?
can we please play a Sally Struthers strip? So,